Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Marketing Matters with Dan and Ash, the show that encourages you to take a deeper look into your marketing. Today, Dan, we're going to be talking about marketing campaigns. So it's quite a broad term.
Very broad, yeah.
Not necessarily focused in on, there's not necessarily one exact thing that's a campaign. But it's probably something that things that a lot of people probably do already in their business.
Without realizing it, yeah.
Exactly, without realizing it. They don't know that they do them. So if you can, try and give us a bit of a definition as such, an overview into what is.
A really broad thing, but can we give it a definition in a few words? I think it's important to, because we touched on it episode 1, didn't we? That people kind of think that marketing campaigns is sort of upper level and your larger businesses.
Definitely your big boys are.
The big boys, the big TV advertisements and things like that.
Yeah, it's just coupled with a radio advert.
Yeah, exactly.
There's loads.
And how do we do that in a localized setting? But essentially, all a campaign is it's a goal-driven and focused effort to spread a message, really. And that message can be a new offer that you've got if you're particularly, I think, a commerce business, retail business. It could be a new offer on a line of products. It could be a new service that you've brought out and you want to spread the word about it. Or it could even just be about showing how great your team is. We had a great episode with Chris recently where we talked about the power of people within a business. And how vital it is to kind of get them front and center and, leaving that impression. And it comes back to the episode we talked about with brand, leaving that feeling and the, how people go away from you transacting with you, be it a conversation or an actual transaction for a product or service. So essentially all a campaign is really an effort to, promote a certain aspect of that.
That doesn't need to be in a paid aspect. They're not. Campaigns don't have to be paid for. They don't need to be expensive to be effective.
You don't have to pay for advertising space to be running a campaign. And I think that's kind of what people sometimes kind of get lost in the idea of it, because you talk about campaign, you start thinking about how much you paying for that campaign. Now, of course, you may pay a professional to put together an idea or a concept, because every campaign essentially needs a concept at the heart of it. But implementing it doesn't need to be on the TV, on the radio, on the side of a bus, all those sorts of things. It can just be as simple as promoting it on your social media.
Yeah, and especially I feel like I say this phrase a lot, but in this digitally driven world that we're in nowadays.
You say it really well as well. Digitally driven world.
I have to really think about it when I say it. If you look at my eyes, I sort of go, right, let me try and get that right.
I need to prepare.
Yeah, but in this digitally driven world that we're in nowadays, it's just to say, maybe it's a series of social media posts that you put out there. Say if it is, you talk about like the team. If it's right, we're gonna meet the team bit, but we're not just gonna do right. Here's so and so, here's so and so, and here's so and so. It's okay. Well, let's do a little bit about them, and then it's about, I guess, leading on to my next sort of point of why they matter. It is about creating that story. Of say if it's about meet the team, we'll go back to that sort of example. But it's okay. Well, this is John Smith. He's this is what he's into, this is his interests, some hobbies, what he likes to do outside of work, this is what he does inside of work. And suddenly, once you've built that, it's a really nicely done social media post.
Well, it comes back to the know, like, trust. And everyone knows how essential know, like, trust is within their marketing and business to win new business. And all that sort of stuff, if you're talking about specifically a meet the team campaign, if you like, that is helping on the like section of it. Because you start to, and now more than ever, we don't deal with robots and faceless companies. We deal with people. We always have done. We always will. And now more than ever, you want to do business with people you like, and people will only do business with people they like. So being able to do that and promoting your team in that way, however it is, and some people who was it? We had a client recently, didn't we, that put some fun facts about their employees, and they just got more ridiculous by each one we read.
Yes. Yeah. I can't remember who it was specific. I
We-
can't remember what the business was now.
we were howling in the office
But-
about it. But if you're reading that, it's something a little bit different, and then you suddenly, because you've laughed at something, those positive emotions are coming out. You start to connect that with the business, and you think, I like these guys.
I think one of them
they seem good.
just because now you've got my brain going. What I think that one of them was that they were either ran over like 5 times or something. It was something crazy.
It was, I have been run over 5 times. It's like, you are clearly not being very careful.
No, they're a cat with 9 lives. They've got 4 left. It's
They're doing well.
yeah.
They are doing
But
well.
no, it was. But I know what you mean. It's that sort of thing. Say you almost. It's just you get to know someone a little bit more, or something like that. But say with in a broad term, really, with the campaign, to say it's about pushing something. I was going to say multiple times, but it is say with a bit more of a direction, really.
But how many
behind-
times do you scroll down LinkedIn or Instagram, or the best example of this is actually television advertising. The same advert you'll see about 100 times within a campaign, because every time there's an advert break in whatever you're watching, whether it's Britain's Got Talent or Saturday Night or whatever, you're gonna see the same adverts over and over again, to the point where, and if they've got a particularly annoying jingle, it will get really on your nerves and start promoting the idea of on-demand telly. But anyway,
I just remember the Go Compare man. I can't.
compare.
Exactly. I can't see him in any other advert at all ever again, because all I can think about is Go Compare. But say it worked.
Well, this is because it's very distinctive.
Think
But
about
it has worked. But yeah, you keep pushing the same message, even though they've seen the advert before. It's not really going to resonate with them the first time around. Maybe not the second time, the third, fourth, 20th. It still might not really hit. But by seeing it over and over again and remembering it over and over again, you become top of mind. Because remember, something that's very, very key to remember is people buy when they're ready.
Yeah.
They won't buy because you want them to. They buy when they're ready to do that. But when they are ready, we need to be top of mind. So campaigns are a great way of doing that. Because they're so focused, because they've got one goal driven, and that's the key thing to think about when you're planning your campaign, is what is the goal here? What am I trying to achieve? And then you can measure it. Then you can measure success.
Yeah.
And so you can start to see, okay, what did that campaign work? Where did it maybe fall down?
Yeah.
And
I think
start to analyze it from there.
If you had if we used almost another example, let's say you're putting out an offer that you've got 20% off a certain product, right? If you we're going to do a social media post about that. That social media post isn't going to hit 100% of your audience.
Absolutely not, no.
That one time.
Well,
You're going to
again-
need to post about it more often, but also you also don't want to do that same post over and over and over again, because it will be too repetitive. So you want to do, let's say it's almost that building a bit of a campaign around it that doesn't need to be overly complicated. It can just be, right, we'll do an immediate sort of, let's say, a static post on it. Then we'll do a video, then we'll do a bit of a funny, in the age of sort of short form content now, let's do a bit of a funny thing around it where we're promoting it in a different
And now more than
light.
ever, with like TikTok and the kind of stuff that's filmed on your phone, and a bit like the kind of around the office stuff,
Just the raw footage.
the raw footage doesn't have to be all professionally driven now. And even to the point where the larger companies are stepping back to create that kind of content, because it's what's trendy and what people respond to.
Yeah.
People expect to see on TikTok and Instagram Reels and things. So
And I say it then boils down to, you say you've got a specific sort of goal in mind where you're working towards, right, okay, we want 5 of these, 5 people to come through the door, new customers to come through the door that are after this 20% offer. Okay, brill. So you've got a goal in mind. We're going to run this. We're going to do this campaign for about 2 weeks. See how that goes. So say you can then, within that, after them 2 weeks, you can look back and say, right, what did we do? How did it go? Are we going to do it again? And if so, what are we going to change?
If you say, our goal is to get 5 new customers, whatever that figure is. So it's a new customer offer. You've got an offer for, you splash it out there, new customer offer. And then at the end of that campaign, you look at, okay, how many new customers did we get? Now, the key thing is that that new customer might have come to you anyway. It might have done. But more often than not, you might get, say, 8, and 3 of them have come to you. They haven't even seen these ads or whatever, but they've still come to you anyway. But the more likely than not, they're going to have come from seeing your campaign. People send it to them. If it's a line of products, for example, in a retail business, you might want to just show off different products on each different post about it.
Mhm.
Talk about it when you're out and about, because local business is a lot of local in-person networking. So, you're the face of your business, so speak about it.
Mhm.
We attend like New Business Club and things like that. So when we've got something to shout about, we both talk about it. We both
Yeah.
say it on the microphone, both say it around the table.
Yeah.
Repeat the same message.
People at New Business Club were going, oh yeah, they mentioned that podcast, didn't they? That Marketing Matters
Exactly,
podcast.
yeah.
It's like, yes, that's our campaign.
Well,
at the
our
minute.
new cards are going to have a little.
But exactly, there's the whole
QR
thing.
code to it as
That
well.
that is our campaign at the minute.
It's a campaign around
We-
getting people to listen to the podcast.
We want people to listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
Watch it, listen to it, whatever. And
And
it's
the
not
key of
just
why I
we'll
want to
post
do
about
that,
it.
we want people to listen to the podcast because we think it will be beneficial for them.
Yeah.
And that's the
100%.
beauty of this thing for me,
100%.
and why
100%.
we love doing it. But we digress slightly. But
What they do is, I think one of the reasons it might go probably under the radar is that momentum piece.
100%.
I think it actually, as much as it's right, okay, well, we're going around a specific product or a specific service at the minute, it actually helps you build a bit of momentum within your whole business, because then you're going, right, okay, well, this has got a bit of traffic. This is got me excited, actually. I want, we've got a few new customers. Right, okay, what else can we do? I don't want to overdo it, but let's do, let's promote something else afterwards, whatever. And it helps build and build and build, and suddenly
The momentum-
you're actually you start to become quite a powerhouse, a bit of a force to be reckoned with almost.
Yeah.
Because
You
got that
get that
momentum
central
behind you.
hook.
Yeah.
It's the hook that comes back to it. I mean, we did a campaign for a client recently that now they've got a strap line. It's 3 words, and it rolls nicely off the tongue because it's been carefully thought about and everything like that. And it's something that will stick in people's mind.
Yeah.
And what we did with that one was we looked into the feeling that we wanted the customers of that business to have after doing business with them. So what they do for them and what that unlocks for the customer going forward. So we did it around this kind of feeling. And what that's given to the client is something to put on the website, put on social media, talk about at business networking, put on cards.
Mhm.
So it's that same bang, 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 bang. It's like a secondary line to your logo. So your logo and your company, and then bang, here's the campaign.
Yeah, and it is why campaigns really are probably so important for small local businesses. I say a lot of businesses that we work with. It goes back. It involves why, because you can then, it gives you local business owners so busy. You'll know yourself. You're so busy day to day, but it gives you a bit of something to focus on. It gives you
something to focus on, and it also gives you a little fallback.
Yeah.
So, you can be so busy at times and think, oh, I've not posted on social media in so long. But if you've got this campaign that you're pushing and the key message, the key fundamental message that you've identified, after doing all your brand work that we talked about before and realizing how you want your customers to feel after working with you and all that kind of stuff, your values, your promise, then the next thing, having this campaign to keep pushing that message, it, like I say, it gives you something to fall back on that you think, I've not got anything to boast about, or I've got all these ideas in my head. Helps you focus down, narrow it down, and what are different ways we can promote that message.
Let's say it's like, I've got all of these ideas in my head, but let me just focus on this. Let me just hone in on just this one. This not let's focus on this for 2-3 weeks, however long you've identified that you want to run this campaign for, and then it gives you a fallback. It gives you something to focus on.
It gives you the opportunity to do loads of interesting things.
Yeah.
Around that topic, around your business, that people then think that's interesting, and then they start to enter the know, like, trust phase. And the consistency of that message, which is another really key important bit, is being consistent. Do it again and again and again. Don't worry if you've posted the same message or even the same post 2 weeks ago, whatever, because it's likely that not everybody saw it. And B, they might have seen it but forgotten about it because, you know, they're just mindlessly swiping or whatever. And, you know, you start to build that consistency that builds the trust element. So they keep seeing you over and over again. Oh yeah, they keep talking about that.
And I think
Must be good.
Yeah, and I think one thing that people can do with campaigns quite a lot, and that's not just business owners, but just anyone that works really within the business. If you've got a team of five, all five of you can learn from them. You learn. It might be that you're bringing out a new product and you're gonna do a campaign about it. You might think, okay, well, actually, maybe it's, you know, we're going to promote this, or actually, that's worked really well. I should promote them more. You know, it might because you know, a certain product is doing really well on a national scale at the minute. You know, I think about the product because my girlfriend is into them, and they're just so expensive, and I can't get my head around it. But the Jellycats, I can imagine that a lot of small businesses, because I know we use we've been to a shop in Lincoln before that sell them, and it's only a little small shop, but you walk in and it's just, there's a wall. Like when you walk in, there's just a wall of them. There's loads of them. There's almost too many of them. Again, difficult to get my head around.
I mean, I've been to your house and there are a lot of Jellycats.
Look, I was allowed my
place.
own room, and somehow in that room has been infiltrated with these Jellycats on this shelf. But we digress.
I'm not gonna comment on that one.
No, I don't think I should. I don't think I should. If she listens to this, I could be in trouble.
Does she listen to this?
I'm trying to get her to. But no, so with them, I imagine, say, when small businesses like that put out this, you know, product of, okay, look, we've got a Jellycat, you know, whatever, and suddenly it just goes boom, and everyone goes mad for it. They go, oh, okay, well, actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I buy more stock. So what they've done is learn and gone, okay, and since then, say, that's just built a lot of momentum in their business. People have gone in. They've been able to buy what they wanted to buy because they've learned from, okay, well, actually, we sold out in the first 2 weeks. Let me make sure I buy enough stock to you know, support everyone. You know, try and, you know, cater for everyone. And it just builds that momentum. Like, you know, I've been in there, say the shop in Lincoln. I think I can't remember what it's called now. I think it's might be Little Bo People, something like that. But they're booming. And I'd say that, you know, again, I'd say that probably 80% of their business is probably through these Jellycats. But it makes people go in. I wouldn't, you know, I would never have gone in there.
But while you're in there, if you say 70% is the Jellycats, but there's 30% of other stuff that's starting to get eyeballs.
Yeah.
Because what they've done is they've realised the bestseller, so build campaigns around that because it's popular. And then once you start to get people in the door, you can start showing them other things that you do.
Exactly.
And you start to build momentum around a different idea. So you start to build campaigns that sit next to each other, you know, of what you're trying to sell. And I think there were three key points here that I think we need to talk about. And one of them is consistency, obviously. So your consistency, I think, drives momentum, which is really key in terms of getting your campaign idea to kind of snowball and get more eyeballs on it.
Yep.
And then the third bit that I think once you start to do that is the analyze bit. And I think this is where a lot of business owners, for me, fall down. So they have a great idea. We're going to post about it. Well, I have an idea. How did it go then? What numbers did you get? I don't know. Because they don't analyze it afterwards. Okay, so how did that go? How many people saw it? What was the kind of interaction rate? Did our sales go up from it?
Well, that's probably the main thing that people they'll look at. They'll go, right, well, how much business did it get more customers? And you'll go, well, it is an important aspect of
But you have to remember what your goal at the start was.
Exactly. It is matching it up to your goal. If your goal was to bring in more customers, okay, well, did we achieve that? Yes or no? Is there a brand awareness? You know, it's more of an awareness piece. Okay, well, we're not then looking at our conversion rates. You know, we're not looking at the conversions because yes, that matters. But
What
in
was
the
the
grand
goal
scheme
to
of
get
things,
more hits on our website?
yeah, exactly. And we can say it is analysing that, and that's not just regardless of really what your goal is. Look at everything from top to bottom, from left to right. You should look at everything. Say how many website hits, your impressions on social media, your sales, your customers, that sort of thing. You know,
Yep.
revenue. Look at all of it because it's all going to matter, and it will all then dictate. You'll be able to learn from every single piece. Because say if something's gone really well, you can learn from that. But if in another aspect it's not gone too well, okay, well, let's learn from that. You know, if it's we've got loads of new website visitors, but we've not had any sales. Okay, well, your goal was to get website visitors in the first part of this campaign. Brill, we've achieved that. Let's not dwell too much. We have achieved that.
But keep it going, because like you've got to always remember, people buy when they're ready.
Yeah, exactly. So that's that's then the momentum hopefully that comes with it.
The higher value stuff you sell as well is never going to be a quick sell.
No.
People need time to think about parting with a lot of cash because, you know, cash is tight in this day and age.
And that can be, I say, very many different.
Yeah.
You know, trust me. I'll go in there and buy a Jellycat. I'm thinking, can I really afford to spend £20 on something that's this big?
And your girlfriend is saying, yes, you can.
And I go, oh well, yes, I guess I can. I guess I can. But no, it's that, you know, if you come here selling a £20 little Jellycat, or if it's okay, well, we've got, you know, we're bringing out a new product that's £1,000.
Well, think about what we sell. If we sell web,
yeah,
people need to, first of all, be ready to do it and be confident that it's the right thing for them to do. Secondly, they need to really trust that their money is going, because the more you're spending, the more trust you need and where it's going.
Yeah.
So I think it's really key to keep pushing the message, keep building the trust, building the consistency, and then eventually, when they're ready to do it, they'll buy from you. So your campaign, if we do a campaign about Reb, I'm struggling to speak like you today.
Yeah.
If we do a campaign around web, you know, we do our website Wednesdays and stuff like that. So do we sell websites every time we post that? No, we don't. But what it does is it builds the consistency, it builds the trust in showing off what we can do. And say, oh, that's actually really good. I really like that one. What else have they done? Go onto the website, have a look at the portfolio. Okay, yeah. Mine could do with a bit of an update, really. Okay. And then you post another one and another one. Oh, God, these guys are actually really good. I'll give them a call.
Exactly.
So it's not the instant. The first time you post something, particularly if it's high value, is not going to get you the sale straight away.
No, not.
That's why you have to be consistent. And campaigns are a great way of doing that, because it gives you a central hook to always come back to and keep rolling the ball forward.
Yeah. So if we're going to say, if we're thinking about campaigns, then someone's out there thinking, right, well, what do I do then? How do I build a campaign? What's the, you know, almost the steps that I need to take to build a campaign? I tell you what, I'll start. I think I'd say I think the first step in terms of if you're going to build a campaign is determining a goal.
Yep.
Because that's what everything that you're going to do after that point is going to be centered around that goal.
Yep.
It's going to be working towards that main objective.
Yeah.
So we say if it is right, we want you know 1,000 more impressions on social media, or we want 10 more followers on Instagram, or we want whatever it might be. So whatever specific goal you want to achieve, that needs to be your first port of call when you're creating a campaign, because without a goal, then it's too scattergun. Yeah.
Way too scattergun if you don't have a goal of what you're trying to achieve when you're doing it. And yes, it's your goal, but everything you do in your business has to eventually put your sales up. So everybody wants their sales to increase. It's just basics. So everything you're doing in and around your business and your marketing should be geared towards getting those sales to increase. But as I said before, you've got to consider how you get to that point.
Yeah.
Okay. So, if you're selling like your £20 Jellycats, like you were talking about,
yeah.
It's a much shorter journey for the customer to go on from hearing about you and seeing what you sell to buying.
Yeah.
You want it to be a lot more quick because you need to sell more of them. Well, we talked about we're selling websites. the journey is a lot longer. So you need to think, okay, well, what's the objective of this first campaign that we do to gain the interest, first of all? So yeah, it's dependent on what you're selling and the value of what you're selling, how much of that you need to sell to be making money in your business per month or whatever. And understanding the customer position and the customer circumstance. So I think that's how you develop your primary goal.
Yep.
And you start to identify, okay, well, the primary goal has to be sell, sell, sell. And then you start thinking, well, should the campaigns be geared around things like Google Ads and Facebook Ads to drive sales?
Yep.
Or should it be around initially the awareness piece, getting people to know about us, getting people to see the stuff that we've done, getting people to see what we have to say, our message, which is the next thing you need to really focus on after your goal. So what is the message? Is it buy this now? Or is it, hey, get to know us, we're really friendly people, you know, we'd love to have a chat with you, this is the kind of stuff that we can do, we're great to work with, check out our team, look how, you know, sound they are, and you know, don't you think I could get on with them? Yeah, they're great, aren't they?
Yeah.
And here's a few little funny answers to some questions they have, and yeah,
here's a blooper reel.
Yeah, because it's the know, like, trust.
Yeah, definitely.
And like I said, the longer customer journey, the longer they've got to go through the know, like, trust.
Yeah.
So they get to know you. The interesting stuff is the campaign. Know you, they like you because they keep seeing it, and the consistency builds the trust, and you get to there. So yeah, I've waffled on a bit there, but after your goal is your message. What is your key message that you're putting out there? And that comes back to when we talked about brand and what your brand is. Yeah. And the feeling, the message, the values, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, it will be, because to say it's going to build part of, say, if you're quite relaxed, you're going down quite a relaxed approach as a brand, then that's going to filter through to a campaign that you're going to run.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it is that message.
And,
I think,
and people will buy from people they like, but also you only want to do business with people you like. Really.
Yeah.
You want ideal world, and it doesn't always work like this, obviously, but in an ideal world, you get the people through the door that you're going to get on with. You kind of get on a personal level as well as a business level, and that process of working with them is easy. So by promoting the right message and putting your people into it and everything like that, getting your people to be part of the campaign, not just a faceless thing. Yeah. You end up getting the people in your business that you want.
Yeah. I say if it's, oh well, I'm a one-man band. Well, you're the business then. So it is going to be important. It will be important for you as just whoever. Say it is about getting your people in. If there's just one of you, if there's 5 of you, if there's 20 of you, important to get as many as you can involved.
It's harder as you get to a more national, larger scale business.
Yeah.
But for local businesses, in local markets, it is about your people.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. So after we've got the message, nailed down. That's when you're going to probably look at how long you're going to run this campaign for. Are you going to run it for a week? Are you going to run it for 2 weeks? Are you going to run it for 2 months? 6 months? There isn't a certain length of time that works and one that doesn't. It's going to be about how long you want to push this for. If we say about almost pushing this podcast is a bit of a campaign piece. Well, we've pushed it really since around October, November. November.
The podcast
time.
is going to be a never-ending campaign.
Exactly, and it will just be a continual campaign, because we're always going to want to promote this, because we're always going to want new people to come and watch it and hopefully learn from it.
And yeah, being totally transparent, our goal with this podcast is not to sell more websites and branding and stuff like that. Our goal is to offer advice, give an insight, and give people something interesting to listen to that might help them.
Yeah.
It might trigger an idea for them. Not necessarily that we trigger ideas where they have to contact us. It can trigger ideas that they can do themselves.
Yeah.
To help enhance. But by doing that, it helps know like trust for us.
Yeah. So I'd say with this, it'll be a continual process. If you're pushing a certain product, you might say, right, let me run this for a month, see how it gets on, and then and then I'll go and analyze it. I'll learn what have I learned from it, and then go from there.
Absolutely, learn from it, tweak it, run it again.
Exactly. It really is. There is no
speak to people as well. Speak to your audience. Speak to your customers.
That's such an important point, I think, and quite an important part, because you'll look at some of the numbers and it might be we have it. Say go back to this, but we have the same thing. We've sort of asked people and we've received some feedback, some really positive, some constructive. But that's a good thing.
I like how you've used the word constructive.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say, because they didn't necessarily criticize. It wasn't criticizing it, but it was just sort of
you said it through a pained expression, though.
It's
constructive.
Usually it's because I know they're right. And I hate to admit it sometimes, but I'm like, yes, you are. That is correct.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, but so say you know, however long you run it for, make sure you learn from it, and then you go again. I think it'll be important after there, you have to decide what channels you're going to work this on, because we talk a lot about, say, social media in this digitally driven world. Yeah, I nailed it. But social media is a big part of it. People will post on social media, they'll think, right, okay, well, let me run some social media posts for the next 2 weeks if that's what I'm going to decide, and go from there. As say, traditionally it was probably a bit of you do a radio advert, you do a press release, you do
traditional marketing techniques.
Yeah, you do a lot of traditional marketing, which again, we will speak about, I'm sure, in another episode. But sometimes it's a bit different world now. So things like that will be done in different ways, but you have to decide which channels you're going to work on. So say social media. If you are going to do social media, okay, well, which channels are you going to work with? Because we look at ours and quite happily admit Instagram's probably a big one for us, because it's very much a visual platform. We can show off some of the stuff that we do, and we can be a lot more creative with that. And that's why somewhere like TikTok probably works for us in a similar sort of way, because we can be quite creative on there. And also
it's where somewhere like Twitter wouldn't work, or X.
Exactly. And that wouldn't work for us, but it might work for other businesses. So you identify them, identify if you're going to go.
But that's a key bit that we probably should have gone over when we talk about goals. So it's probably something we missed, is so your goals, but also it kind of feeds into it, I guess, but the ideal customer avatar that you want. So, our goal is to raise our impressions by whatever percentage, but the people we want to be seeing it are business owners, are, finance directors, whatever. So then that then feeds into the channels and where we're pushing this. We want to be putting our message and putting our campaign out there where these people are hanging out. So if it is social media, maybe it's LinkedIn. If you're selling your Jellycats, maybe that's more Facebook and Instagram, because it's more of a B2C sort of thing. But, identify who you're trying to get through the door, find out where they're hanging out, and push your message there. And that then helps you to come back to the analytics piece of starting to see, okay, was it working? Are we getting the right people? Okay, not the kind of we got a few inquiries, but it's not quite right for them. Maybe we're not the right company for them. How do we make sure that we're getting to the right people? And it's the continuous piece that I think is vital.
Yeah, and say people who use that social media. If you're going to do right, we'll go down the email route. We'll send some emails out. So, maybe
heavily overlooked.
Yeah, it is, and again, probably another
for your existing client base.
Definitely
heavily overlooked.
But so. Again, and definitely another avenue to explore. If it's okay, you're gonna get some print done. So again, going down this whole traditional marketing of side. Again, just because we're in such a with the era of social media and sort of a digital driven world.
Digitally driven world.
Can't get away from it. I can't. But it doesn't mean that you can leave behind the traditional
Absolutely
marketing
not, no.
stuff. So say if you're going to get something printed, and then you've got your avenues.
Spread your campaign across different channels.
You're going to explore. I think you need then a clear call to action.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So say what are you, and it is quite similar to your goal as such.
Well, the call to action is directing someone to that goal.
Yes. So if it is, you're saying, right, we need, more people through the door. I want, through if we run a retail business, I need an increase of 20% footfall through the door. Okay, well,
in-store offer.
That's exactly. It's in-store offer. We're going to encourage people to come and shop in person with us. Come in, meet the team.
This
boom.
offer's only available in store.
Exactly.
You come in, you see us.
So
offer, we want online sales. This is an online only.
Yeah. You're giving people
sort of
a clear direction of what you want them to do with the information that you.
We want people to go to this website because that's where it's going to show the information, the key information. Bottom of the campaign, QR code, website address.
Yeah.
Whatever. Come and visit us here.
Yeah.
You keep pushing it over and over and over and over again.
Over and over again. It might seem repetitive, but you just need to keep telling people where you want them to go.
Yep.
What do you want them to do with the information you give?
Your call to action is, and again, people kind of overlook it and are almost too nice with it. Your call to action is literally telling someone what you want them to do. Do this.
Yeah. You've done this. You've read this.
You've read all this. Now I want you to do this. And, you start to get quite strategic with your CTAs because you want them to. You want to get information, or if it is a sale, then it might be an offer. If it's just to get interest and inquiries, then it's the old kind of give something away. Like we do our SEO audits, UX audits, things like that, social media audits. Being helpful, be nice. Chris said last week, didn't he, that people don't value nice enough.
No.
So yeah, think about your CTAs quite strategically of pushing them where you want them to go to the next step. Remember what we identified at the start with how long the journey is. Don't try and get someone if it's a high value item you're selling, and you want them. Remember your goal was initially to get them onto your website because then they can learn more and they can start to see other stuff. Don't think, here, now buy it.
They're not going to buy straight away.
Your call to action, remember, you get to tell them what you want them to do, but you'll throw them off if you try and send them too far ahead. Get them to the next step along the journey.
Yeah. And trying to, I guess, put that into another example. I think, say if you're a retail business, you get someone in, they might not buy on that first visit.
No.
They come in on that Saturday. You're thinking, brilliant, they're here, right? They're in my shop. That doesn't mean they're going to buy. That doesn't mean they're going to part ways with their cash.
They had a look around. They thought, I quite like that. Maybe I need to wait till payday.
Yeah, but if you then are, I was going to say too annoying, but if you push a bit too hard, they might retract and then they might not come back. And suddenly they've gone there forever.
Yeah, too pushy. Didn't like them. Don't like them. Not going to buy from them.
Yeah, but if you're nice with them, I'm not saying anyone's not going to be nice, but if you nurture them in
very,
the right
very
way.
Good word, yeah.
You nurture them in the right way, they might be back the following Saturday. They'll be back the following Saturday.
Because you leave them, even though they've not bought from you, they leave that store feeling good.
Yeah.
They feel, they were helpful. They were nice.
Yeah. And then say when they're...
you leave, they feel happy, and they start thinking about it. Say, I'm going to go back there, because I think I'm going to get that, whatever it is.
And when they're ready, and it comes back to when they're ready to buy...
When they're ready.
They're there, and they're in. So, yeah, have a clear message of what you want them to do, and then I say the final part really about it is just about analysing.
Yeah, you have to
analyse, just track how it went, and what can you do better.
Goals, consistency, momentum, analyse.
It's quite a bit of a simple process that just there's always at least one point I think that people forget about or they don't do too well. I say like the tracking the progress is really a big one that people forget about because they look and go, well, he didn't do this. It's like, well, okay, but why?
But they also look too far ahead.
Yeah.
They look at, okay, did sales go up? No, didn't work. Well, maybe because, the campaign needs to run longer. Maybe it's more of a slow burn.
You need to nurture.
And then so you need to build other campaigns to sit alongside it and next to it. Because, we touched on it, the Web Wednesday, you can, meet the team Tuesday or whatever. So all these little social things. And that's where people do it probably already and don't realise. because they build the consistency, because it's all the websites get published on a Wednesday, and we talk about a team on a Tuesday. There's a fun Friday.
Yeah.
So
testimonial Thursday.
Yeah. You could do anything you want.
There's a lot of alliteration. You could go.
Like, go on then. Give us a Monday one. Come on, because we've done it every day of the week.
Well, we do marketing Monday.
Hey, there we go.
That's the big one we do.
Yeah.
I like a marketing Monday.
But yeah, like this podcast, they come out on a Friday, every second Friday. Consistency. People know to expect it. So you start to see on the new one's out this week. What's this one about? And so you build a consistency, and it drives momentum. And I think that's the key bit when you're looking at your analytics is, did it do what we set out for it to do at the start to get to the next step?
Yeah.
And then once you're on that step, how do you get the people to the next step and the next step? And that becomes your customer nurturing, your customer journey along the way.
Yeah.
Remember, marketing is getting people onto that journey. So, marketing, yes, it is sales, but sometimes they have to go into a sales funnel, which is they start to get on the conveyor belt and they start to go along and along and along until they're ready to buy.
Yeah.
So make sure that you're analyzing the right things rather than just looking at end success.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That is how to really build a marketing campaign. So hopefully you'll have learned a bit. Go and build your own. We will hopefully see it in the flesh.
I'd like to see a lot of marketing campaigns start flying around.
Yeah, suddenly you're going to see loads of
localized marketing
loads
campaigns.
of social media posts that's like, here's an alliteration.
Well, we've seen it, haven't we, of people that we have worked with, and we start to see it and think, great, you're raising your profile.
Yeah. So yes, hopefully we'll see a few of them flying about all over the channels, and hopefully you've learnt a bit. So yeah, that was Marketing Matters with Dan and Dan. And we will see you in a few weeks for the next one.
Bye for now.